Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 340. My name is Brando. Welcome, Mr. Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe. How are you?
Very well,
Great,
thank
to
you
be
very
here.
much.
I know we're going to talk about the shows that you have coming up, playing in New York and Philly and Washington, D.C. But I'm only maybe a couple months away from getting married. And they say the goal is to create beautiful music together, right? Usually it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek phrase, but you guys literally are creating beautiful music together. So do you have, right off the bat, do you have advice to give me? Because you've been married for quite some time, yeah?
That's true. I think I'll hand this one to Lauren.
I'm the negotiator. I would say always be creative together and have play in your marriage and quiet time and respect each other's, individuality all the time. I think that's what keeps us together.
And your note to self.
So how did it, I mean, it all relates. Like, how did what did you first like about Lauren? What did you first like about Rick? Was music part of that? Did you know that you were going to create music together? Or was it just, did you bond over your favorite TV shows or you just thought each other was pretty or where did music come into it?
Well, music did. I was brought to Rick from my healing practice to work with him. I'm an integrative massage therapist. I do a lot of energy medicine and spiritual healing work. And a friend of his wanted him to be introduced to me. So I met him as a client. And we both really just had an immediate, connection. And we developed a friendship first. And then, I was like, you can't be my client anymore.
No, and then I remember taking my djembe to a coffee. You remember that
I had
coffee
a
shop?
show. Yeah, I had a show, and he said, "Let me want." I said in, and so he brought his djembe, and we did like a coffee house thing. And then I was teaching at the time at the Boulder College of Massage, and he came in to my some of my classes, and we worked a lot with energy medicine and talked about phantom limb effect, where where you when you lose an arm, you still have a energetic field that's there for a period of time. So we were demonstrating together around that, and that really grew in how we created a partnership and how we wanted to move forward in the relationship, just naturally.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a nicer story. My fiance and I, we met on Bumble on a dating app.
Oh,
Fantastic.
so
That's
that's a gift.
that's not as romantic, but I guess I'll take it.
No, I think however people meet, is the right thing. I don't think there's any rules around that. I think as long as there's a genuine connection, then it's all good.
Okay. I mean, well, obviously Rick was a musician well before you met, but Lauren, to get some of your background, were you making music? And when did you start creating what we know now as your music? Like when did you start to form as an artist?
I was writing music since I was very small, and then I started. My first band was in Boulder, Colorado, in the no, it was in San Francisco in the early '90s.
I think we froze, and that's okay. I'll pause it until they come back. This is the beauty of this nature of the beast. Hold on. It's the
Oh,
nature of the beast to freeze, Zoom, hotels. Where are you guys right now, if you don't mind me asking?
We're in Florida. We're in
Oh,
a private. Rick's got an art show tonight and we have a performance tomorrow, a private one.
yeah.
oh okay.
So
Before we get to Rick's art, because where we left off is Lauren, I wanted to know about your path as a singer and a musician and how it led to Rick playing with you. So I'm not sure exactly where you left off, but you were playing young, right? Were
I was
you?
playing, yeah, I started playing really young. My grandfather showed me how to play the guitar when I was 6, and then I started taking lessons and writing songs. And I grew into, when I was in my 20s, I started playing um, and started my band and moved to Colorado and had a band there and played all the ski towns. My band was called Koi Kindred. I, sold CDs out of the trunk of my car. You did the ski town route, and we had a lot of fun.
it's old school.
Yeah, total old school.
Yeah, the tour thing is she kept in touch with all of her band members, and I think that says a lot for Lauren. You know, she had a quite an impact on the people that she played with.
It's fun.
Absolutely. So I want to know how you would describe your music, because it says in the press release that I got that your producer calls it California country. Being a New Yorker, I guess I don't know California country.
Yeah, I'm a New Yorker too, so that was a new
Okay.
to me, and I'm not a country artist at all. So
Okay.
this single is very out of the box of what I normally do. It's like a Western pop song, you know. It's got a lot of that swing to it, and it's a really fun song. I wrote it very quickly. It was like it just came in within 10 minutes. I'm like, this is cool. I've never sang anything like this before, so thanks. Um, and yeah, but most of my music is Americana roots rock, and this has a definitely a twang to it. That's fun.
Okay. Okay. Kiss Me Now is the single that comes out as we're recording this
Yes,
on March 18th. So and that's going to be available everywhere. Is it part of a larger? Okay.
everywhere, and it'll be included on an album that's coming out in October.
Very
Um,
cool.
Something interesting that she was saying the other day was about, you know, it being sort of this celebration, this, that, and the other, and then some of the things that are going on around the world. But I loved your explanation about, you know, being grateful for the people that you're around right now, and I thought that was
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's, kiss the person you love now, because as we all know, life is very unpredictable and there's no guarantee that they'll be there. So, it's a celebratory song that reminds us to be grateful.
And the show itself seems like a celebration, not just musically. So the transition, tell me about your art, Rick. I'm not overly familiar. Were you always an artist? Were you into drawing and making art? Like, how did this come about?
I think I just really enjoyed the feeling of doing art as a kid because time just passed like it was nothing. You know, I could do it for hours and feel like it was only a few minutes. And I think music did the same. Um, and then when our youngest was born, it wasn't long before we started painting together, and it just kind of reignited my passion for that. And then I met with Wentworth Galleries, Christian O'Mahony, and yeah, we just started pushing more and more into the art, and now I'm doing these beautiful legends pieces. The last one I did was Charlie Watts, and without Charlie's influence, I probably wouldn't be talking to you now.
Hmm. So I was going to ask you what inspires you to paint. Is it, in this case, Charlie, understandably? Is there something else that you look toward to motivate you, or it just comes from anywhere to what you
Just
want to put on canvas?
really just life experience, growing up in England and then eventually, getting on a plane, to the United States in 1980, having joined Def Leppard at the ripe old age of 15. But really, it's just life experience, symbology. When I go to London, I've always got my camera with me. Taking pictures of everything I can see that reminds me and would inspire other people. And then, of course, all of the Legends pieces, which my first one was Steve Clark. Um, and that kind of just led me on to everybody else that really inspired me to become a musician.
Do you feel the same pressure as a that kind of artist versus the artist you're traditionally known for, whether it's being a musician, or is there pressure to paint? And again, you're painting your hero, Charlie. Is there, I don't know, do you feel any sort of pressure to do that?
More pressure to get it right. The nice thing about painting is you can go over it, and start again. Whereas live performances with music, that's something that you strive to get better at, in the moment as you're actually performing in front of people.
So what can people expect from the shows? How does art go in with the music? And there's wine, right? So how does this Is it just like a 3-course meal, or is it all at once? How does it happen? What can we
So,
expect?
I'm an artist too, and Rick and I paint together sometimes, but we really haven't offered that at all. Usually I have my things and he has his, but these paintings are the two of us collaborating together. One of his mixed media is called Girl on a Swing, where I contributed. I did a lot of the mixed media. It's mostly his photography. It's my paint, and then we did a Kiss Me Now cover, and we created it into a mixed media piece on G clay canvas with acrylic paint and gloss on it. And so it's these two collaborative paintings that we're auctioning, and you don't have to be there at the shows. You'll see them live at the shows, but they're also posted on ravendrumfoundation.org, and you can bid on them. And you also can donate a seat to a veteran if you can't be at the show. We do a lot of work with our foundation to help support veterans with trauma. And so we're combining the charitable aspect. We're inviting veterans because the show is full of storytelling and empowerment, and also the music is very, it's journey-like, and there's opportunities to look inside some of the dark places together, um, as we experience music. So it's all of these things.
That's great, and I really appreciate it. I wanted you to talk to you about the Raven Drum Foundation. I guess what was the spark to create this foundation? And it's one thing to donate money, but to create a foundation in time and all these creative ways to help, how did that come about originally?
I think from when we first met, my inability to develop language around some of the experiences, the traumatic experiences that I'd gone through. And then because of Lauren's experience in the healing arts and massage, this, that, and the other, I think the combination of the two of us, it was just a natural fit, and led us to creating Raven Drum Foundation.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I was a percussionist. I was a dancer in one of my other many lives. And so as a dancer, I would dance with an African dance ensemble, and I had to learn how to play djembe. And so I was a percussionist, and when we got together, we would play. And we both knew how drumming was so healing. So we combined the elements of rhythm with mindfulness and guided imagery, and we brought it to people who were going through trauma. Once we did it once, which on his tour bus, actually, with a group of a couple of amputee children from Afghanistan, we just saw that we could do this with so many people, and it really helped.
Yeah, and we really saw that it would help everybody, all parts of the population.
And this was back in 2001.
Okay.
So doing it for quite a while with many, many different types of people. We worked in juvenile detention centers with boys in prison, and with cancer care for teens. We worked with, domestic violence shelters and veterans, special needs kids, and everyone reacts the same because music is a direct line without spoken word. We all can connect. And then when Rick tells his story, it really affects people. And so we're bringing this element into venues now when he plays with me. So we can spread this message, and Rick can tell his story, and the stories that I tell before the songs are all like these setups, so that people can experience the music and really go deeper in their musical experience with us.
That's beautiful. My fiance is a dancer also. She teaches little kids, and she's been doing something, her own project the last few years, where she collaborates with a painter, that they're painting what she's dancing, and she brings up little kids to get involved. So the closest I got to what you're doing is that I was just on the computer playing music. So I was just playing DJ to hybrid it all. But something else I relate to it. I know it's not exactly the same, but I have a little prop here, and hold on, let me get rid of my screen back here. So I don't want to blur it. I want you to see what I'm going to show you. If I had a producer, this would be so much better, but I don't, because I'm just by myself.
For my life.
All right, there we go. So it's not the same. I have my legs, but these are my leg braces.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I put, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I have a lot of like band stickers. Sorry, I don't have any Def Leppard stickers on there.
No,
But
but that's cool. I get that. That's so cool that you sort of take all the things you're passionate about with you.
yeah, growing up, now I can show you my leg braces, and it's not as affecting me as it was when I was younger, because my trauma is, it's a nerve condition. I didn't have an accident. It's just slowly, it's degenerative, and it affects your mental health. And I would hide it. I don't go out in shorts, but when I would see, especially, Lauren, what you're talking about, I would have friends that do what you do. But Rick, you telling your story, even though it's not the same as me, you being out there and just not being afraid to show who you are and continuing to do what you love, and having your band, your friends back you up, like that story just, I've always held that with me. I'm like, he's a survivor of being different. If you want to create that umbrella, being different, if you want to phrase it that way.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's you know, it, at first I really didn't want to do this. I wanted to disappear after my accident. It was really difficult to be around people. I felt very self-conscious. I think my parents, and then you know family, and just people, letters from all over the world, really encouraging me. And I think the best thing that the guys did in the band was give me time to really decide if I wanted to continue doing this or not. And once I discovered the power of the human spirit, I think that just kind of catapulted me into a different realm. It was like, oh, I can do this, and then it was a really a conscious decision to want to continue in my physical state, and expose myself to I don't know, you know y-
Judgment.
yeah,
Yeah,
judgment,
judgment.
ridicule,
Yeah.
like the guy up on stage that's different, but I think once you can get over that, then you're really on the path. I think one of the things that was important for me was I stopped comparing myself to how I used to be,
Hmm.
and I stopped comparing myself to others, and tried to really embrace how unique it was to play like this. And then it gave me a whole new sort of outlook on how people would receive this, and really just any of the noise or anybody that wanted to be negative, it was like, just it's just noise, and I didn't pay attention to that.
I would just take that as like, the drummer of Def Leppard is doing this, and he found a different way to do it and being successful. Like, who is anyone else to be negative in that world? So I'm like, I can take that. Again, different story, but there's that, as you hear, there's a similarity where I'm like, okay, if I can no longer walk a certain way, if I can't use my hands a certain way, I'm going to find a way that's different.
Yeah.
And I know it's possible. That's it's going to be unique to me, and it doesn't make it wrong. It's just how I do things now.
Right.
Yeah, and people will always there will always be people out there that find a reason to be negative, but it's not those people that really register with me. It's the people that are more awake, and people that see what I'm doing and use that as inspiration.
Hmm. Well, I've used it as inspiration, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm getting married soon. I'm living in an apartment with two cats. I'm surprised none of them have jumped and ruined this. I know we had some Zoom issues, but usually I'll blame it on the cat.
There you go.
Uh, I don't want to keep you too long, but the transition. I mean, if you can't tell from now my backgrounds as I take off the filter and appetite for distortion, I use a 6 degrees of GNR bacon, Guns N' Roses bacon theme for my podcast. Everyone and their mother has a podcast, so I'd like to be a little bit different.
That's cool.
I know Rick's might be more obvious, so I'll ask you second. Lauren, anything like, have you seen Guns N' Roses? Are you a fan? Have you met any of the members? I'm curious if you do have a 6 degrees of GNR bacon.
Flash in once, but Rick's friend, he's more friendly with him. I just met him once. Very nice person, by the way.
When I think
In Vegas, I think it was in Vegas.
right.
It's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
met
he's
him.
he's
Yeah.
cool.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Any GNR covers in the future for you, Lauren, or
Me?
anything? Yeah.
No,
Actually,
I do.
you know, we didn't mention Matt Sorum. Matt Sorum, we've worked a bunch with Matt Sorum, so that's really our solid connection to
Yeah,
Guns N'
Matt.
Roses.
He's very charitable and really generous, and he's been in a number of our fundraising efforts to raise money for Backstage Music Professionals. In 2020, we did a Big Love benefit concert, a streaming concert. He was a part of that. And now 12 Drummers Drumming, and we've done this great auction with 12 legendary drummers, including Rick and Matt Sorum and Joey Kramer and Ringo Starr and
Cindy Blackman.
yeah, I mean we had
Yes,
just an incredible line.
Sheila E.
Hmm.
That was great.
And they donated drums for auction, and we raised money that way. And then we'll do that again this year.
Another chap called Ringo Starr, you may have heard.
Yes.
I think I've heard of him. That's amazing. I haven't a Ringo on the show, but I've been lucky to have Sheila E. and Matt Sorum on the show.
Oh, great.
Cool.
When you, just to ask I guess a cliche question, Rick, what did you think of Guns N' Roses? Because when they were coming up, because Def Leppard came before them, what did you think of that Sunset Strip scene? And then Appetite for Destruction comes out. I guess what did you think of GNR at that time in your life?
I thought that first record was just insane. I loved it. It was one of those records you couldn't play quietly. It had to be on warp 10, preferably 11. And I thought that just kind of blew the doors off the place. It had that angst. It was just something. It was just something that you had to play loudly. So I really loved it.
Very cool. And that is cool that you have a little drummer society now with Matt Sorum. I don't know if you guys meet on Saturdays and sing Kumbaya with a drum circle or something
I
like
think
that.
that's a good suggestion. I'll mention it to him.
Perfect. I love it. Well, I know Lauren has new music. Do we know about the album, when that might come out? I know the single's released, but
in the fall, we're going to release it in the fall. We're almost done, so we haven't set a release date yet, but we're thinking early October.
okay. And then what about for you, Rick? It was a huge announcement with Def Leppard coming out with a new album.
Yeah,
what can you tell us?
We just played Kick, which is the first single, and then hopefully people are going to love the rest of what we did. So I'm just excited for people to hear not just the first release but the whole thing.
I think it's amazing that Def Leppard continues to make new music. I think it's amazing that you're making music with your wife, or your wife's making music with you. I don't know who is the band leader. Is there a band leader, I guess, amongst you two? She is? Okay. That's the right answer.
He's he's not with me full time, he has a day job. So have him play with me when he can, and then I'm going to have some other really amazing drummers and percussionists play with me on the touring dates.
Yeah, I just count to 4 and just sort of stay quiet and just make sure I play drums really well, and then she looks upon me favorably.
Well, the beautiful thing about podcasts, I have listeners everywhere. So if you're here in New York like I am, the Loft, March 21st, you got Philly at the Lounge at the World Cafe Live, and then DC on the 24th at the Loft at the City Winery. Art, music, wine. I mean, this is just and a love affair. It's a whole a soap opera going, a touring soap opera.
That's right.
In a way.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen, for your time. This really was a pleasure. I appreciate the wedding advice, as well. Hopefully I'll get to where you guys are in a few years.
I'm sure you will, man.
Thank you so much. You guys take care.
All right.
Thanks.
And you too.
Bye-bye. That was fun. That was some good advice from the Allens. I don't know if you could say it like that. Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen. And again, if you want to check it out, it's the Raven Drum Foundation. So even if you can't make it to these shows, you can donate, as Lauren said, a seat in the name of a sponsor veteran, essentially. So if you're in New York, again, the shows are at the Loft, at the City Winery, and that's the 21st, March 22nd in Philly at the Lounge at the World Cafe Live, and then March 24th at Washington, D.C. at the Loft at the City Winery. So very cool. And, I was, and also before I forget, apologies for any audio. If it depends on what service you're watching this on or listening on. If it's YouTube, I know they were a little low, but we were fighting through. Well, their service wasn't great, but I think overall it just went fine. But if you're watching this on YouTube, if you want to, maybe it might serve you better to listen on the usual podcast platforms, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I was able to bump up the levels a little bit there, but either way, I hope you enjoyed. But I was going to say, I don't know. Part of me was like, am I going to show Rick Allen my braces? Like, it went through my mind before that I did. And just between you and me, because not everybody knows. For those of you, I haven't met so many of you at GNR shows, but yeah, for those of you who meet me, it's interesting. Like, they don't know if I'm limping, like, to be cool, because I also have a cane. And I'm not joking. People just think sometimes I'm acting cool. I wish that was the case. But I wear these leg braces underneath my pants, and I've done so since I was, oh, geez. I mean, I've been wearing, I guess you want to call orthotics or something since I was 10 or so. I have these leg braces that just go under the knee, goes underneath my foot, actually. So they slip right into my shoes, go under my knee, and they help me balance. I have a neurological condition, demyelinating peripheral neuropathy. Say that 5 times fast. And unlike Rick, so that's why I said it's not the perfect comparison, but he got where I was going with it. I have my legs. It's just I'm more sturdy with these leg braces. I don't usually wear them around my apartment, but I'm certainly more safe with wearing them. So like when going to concerts and stuff, it's actually difficult for me. It's become more difficult for me over the years because I know this is not a phrase or a word, but it's how I describe myself at times. I'm easily knocked downable. I can easily fall, I'm usually cautious, and I've just been doing this for so many years. It's not like I'm falling every 5 seconds, but when there's a large crowd or the weather is not cooperating, i.e. rain or snow or stuff, I don't like to go outside. And that's why I didn't go to Slash recently. It was in New York. Just going to a show in the city, while I've certainly done it in my life, it's just a lot of anxiety that comes with it. And I know there are handicapped Guns N' Roses fans out there. There are other handicapped people out there who deal with the same crap that I do. I think I told the story where when I went to go see Guns N' Roses in Baltimore, because he was at Hershey Park. No, not Baltimore. Hershey Park. It was just so far away, the handicap seating. I had to take a trolley there. It was just not handicap friendly. And that's what goes through my mind, unfortunately, when I go to shows now. While over the years, more, venues have become more accommodating, but sometimes it's just too stressful. So what's the appropriate way for me to get out the story without just talking about myself? This will never be the Brando show. I never want to do that. That's why if this wasn't about Guns N' Roses, I would have done it about something else before myself. But how do I talk about myself and you to get to know me through the guests? And this was an opportunity for me to do that, I felt. And you saw their reaction to it. And I hope for those of you, if you know somebody or have a disability yourself, because I'm certainly not perfect. I'm not as out there as I pretend to be. I'm not. Social media is certainly, it's one window. It's not the window. It's not into everything. So there's still a lot of stuff that I go through, that I'm sure that Rick goes through, that you don't see. But we're all here. We all like Rick and I are the same, that we have a disability and we like Appetite for Destruction. So if you're the same as us, you're the same as us. You're the same as Rick Allen from Def Leppard. So how does that feel? In an abstract kind of way. But I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? Well, I don't know. As of this moment, you're certainly going to see the next one soon enough, and soon as the word. But right now, I'm certainly going to focus on working on Doug's book even more. I've gotten a lot of work done. It's like almost an everyday thing. I wish I could sit down for hours, but I have a lot of stuff going on. But it's slowly but surely happening. I'm coming down with
okay, this could be good as a chapter. This goes over here. This goes over there. Like it's coming together like a big puzzle. So I want to keep focusing on that. However, who knows when these guests come out of? I was not expecting to interview Rick Allen. No way. He was not on my radar. Then all of a sudden an opportunity presented itself, and I was like, fuck yeah. I want to interview Rick Allen and his lovely wife, Lauren Monroe. I absolutely want to do that. So those happen, and also I keep encouraging you to send me messages, whether it's on Twitter, at the AFD Podcast, Facebook, email me, theafdshow@gmail.com. If you have a guest suggestion, if somebody you feel would be a great guest for Appetite for Distortion, let me know, and you could be a co-host. Or if you want to be interviewed, if you want to do, we could do a fan obsession with you. We could do that and figure something out. So either way, if you want to get involved in the podcast. Oh, my cat just sneezed. I don't know if the mic picked it up, but it was too cute not to acknowledge. I think that's my cue to get out of here. But however you want to participate in the podcast, I'm certainly open to it. And that's how we keep going. I mean, look at this. Rick Allen from Def Leppard. Never would have guessed. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When we see the next one, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it, I don't know, as soon as the word.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.